Right, so into part two of this review of the outstanding win by the Warriors over there against the Raiders. We're going to have a bit of look through the player review. We're not going to focus on the Raiders, obviously, because we're biased Warriors fans. So we're going to go through our boys. So, my bro, what do you take of CNK this week?
Awesome. Just again, one of his standout games. I think this week was more of a defensive and just a ball running type game. I think last week he had everything going: the link play, the getting at first receiver sometimes. I think he did a bit of that as well, but I think he was just sort of getting that defensive shape right, chipping in when he, when the boys needed help. Goal line defense. Apart from that lucky one from Whiten, that was just that ricochet.
Yeah.
They can't really control that.
Yeah,
I think he helped defend the line really well, and just 200 meters again. That's like average for him now. 200. So no, mate, he's just unbelievable. And like Blocker said a few times, they both commentators said, just this guy just keeps popping up every time when you think he's done. He's done in the set,
Yep.
No, he's ready for another hit up. So yeah, like it.
I think you split the top class fullbacks into the two categories of you've got the Reece Walsh, who's the explosive, energetic, one of the key attacking X Factor players, maybe Latrell in a similar respect. But then you've got the Teddies, not Dylan Walker. What's our mate's name there from Penrith?
Dylan Edwards, yeah.
Dylan Edwards, yeah. Well, I always get those two mixed up. Dylan Edwards and Chance, and I think he holds his own in that. I think he's playing better than Teddy, and the equal of Edwards right now in a very similar role. And he's probably a bit bigger, and I just feel like he hits the line and makes a dent more than him. So, I noticed actually, I went back and watched it the second time. You're right, from last week, he started to get a lot more. I think he's more involved in the attacking plays. There's more balls going through his hands. And you see that he's got those two tries being on the end of it. So he's just become an all-round player to the point, like, you couldn't even imagine that they're going to think about moving him when RTS comes. So, the call that RTS goes to the centres is the right one, bro.
Yeah, no, it is.
Dallin, bro.
Oh, mate, just like I said, elite finishing. I mean, we saw it in the Bulldogs game, that one where SJ set him up, but this was 10 out of 10 difficulty. To keep your feet in, and then catch it, and then move it to the right hand. Even guys, I don't know how they palm the ball. These guys just palming balls like nothing, but making sure that your left hand doesn't touch the ground before you place your right hand. And making sure you plant that ball well within it while keeping your feet. He has a very high level finishing that I suppose gets overlooked at times by his yardage, his running. He runs with venom and takes head highs, knocks. He's got a granite chin, man, taking a lot of whacks on the head. I loved it. Loved his yardage work. Loved all of his runs. And if you can get that amount of finishing from him, you get one of those a game, mate, that's gonna, he's done more than done his fair share of work for our team, So I love him. I love him.
Yeah, I mean, he's interesting. I think he struggled those first couple of games back, and we're starting to think, man, Kossi should be in here instead of him. But I think ever since he got that half a game at fullback and then the full game at fullback, something just let loose in him. But on that, though, it's interesting. I thought they really targeted him. They put some big hits on him, and he only ran for 95 metres yesterday for 34 post-contact metres. But I found that's been one of his big improvements is his post-contact metres. He's always run fast, but it often, like Bunty, hit the wall and bounced back.
Yep.
But I just think of that one that he got probably 5 or 10 metres inside his our half. And he literally just carried 3 or 4 guys 15 or 20 metres.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the finishing's the cherry on the ice cream, but just that energy he brings. And it was good to see Montoya sort of supporting it. He sort of hasn't quite seemed quite up to the same level over the past couple of weeks, but he kind of, that 1-2 punch. And to hear a clown like Blocker say that we've got the best back five in the comp for bringing the ball off our off our line, says a lot, you know. And I think we're probably up there with Penrith as far as that goes. So, and that started with Dallin. I think the energy he's brought over the past few weeks has been outstanding. And that mullet, bro.
Keep growing it, mate.
I wouldn't want to touch it. I wouldn't want to touch it, but it looks mean. But did you hear that? He pulled my hair. That's why I had to clock him. Montoya on my man there.
Montoya, yeah. I think we've seen Montoya. It feels like he's leveled off, but actually he's just been consistent. We're not getting the inconsistency with high numbers meters and then 3 knock-ons or whatever it is. It feels like he's sacrificed a bit of explosiveness at times for consistency, measured approach. I'm going to get my play of the balls, right. Similar to what we were expecting of Jackson Ford. Like, okay, you're not going to try and score every time, but if you just do your job, that will pay off in the end. So I think Montoya's done a bit of that. So that's why we're seeing, he's not blowing us out of the park anymore, but it's what we need, and it's helping to get that consistent performance. Thought he did good on that kick that came through it was, who was it? Whitehead nearly scored. It looked like the angle, like Whitehead was going to score, and then he grabbed it. Other good work. Yeah, I was pretty happy with him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was second out of the backs at 136 metres and 44 post contact, and I feel like I don't know, maybe it's because Pompey wasn't running as hard in those hit-ups at the start of the season. Similar with Kossi, both of those guys they use their size and kind of hit the line and drive through, whereas he just hits at full speed. So he just felt like he's having that bigger impact before, but now with Dallin and that 1-2 punch and with the speed that Chance is hitting it at, maybe it's just a perception. But I found like a couple of times it was just really good to see him. He had a bit of space and he changed the angle and he'd just look at that space between the two forwards, and he's got that ability to aim at that shoulder, step at the last minute and find that little gap between them to get that forward momentum. So, a lot of people talked about him maybe going into the centres again when Kossi comes back. But for me, I think he's an out-and-out winger these days.
Yeah, he
is.
I
think he can cover centre, but I think that... and I think if you probably switch them on either side, you might get a different outcome because our play's naturally coming towards Dallin for some reason, which is odd because it's kind of on the left-hand pass, right? And the kicking is an uncomfortable side there from SJ to kick back that way. But interesting. He's still my man, though. I still wouldn't want to tackle him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pompey. Adam Pompey, bro.
Yeah, Pompey, I thought was great. I thought he did his job. I think a lot of can be said about a centre is if his opposite has had a quiet night. Tomoko did nothing, and I want to give Pompey most of that credit. Although he probably didn't get much ball, but Pompey shut down anything that he tried. And I think that's the benefit of having a taller centre, is that if you got a smaller, more nuggety centre like a Tomoko, unless he's getting very open looks on the outside, if they come up one-on-one, face to face, Pompey has those levers that he can kind of direct him to where he wants to. And there was a tackle there where I think Tomoko got off a scrum, and then Pompey just dragged him or just pushed him where he wanted to. So I think we got to give credit where credit is due, and I thought he did a wonderful job defensively. He stopped Tomoko on that line. I thought that was great. He got some good passes away. I thought he was pretty good. But yeah,
I wonder if we had again, we look through different eyes from the really smart footy gods like Webby, and when you watch opposition play, you see their stars, right? So you've got teams where their centres are their genuine stars, and real high impact X factor players, and you've got other teams where the centres are more, they're there just to provide a link, they're there to cover a hole. And maybe we expect a bit too much of Pompey because, again, he's 92.86%, 13 made and 1 missed tackle. Yep. And Tomoko's got that footwork and he's fast. Yep. But Pompey, he fills it, and I wonder if we've got a little bit of a false expectation from him.
Yeah,
as fans, so maybe similar to Bunty, that he's just doing, and he's probably really won a lot of us over, but not to the point that everyone's shouting re-sign him.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we still feel like there's something more, and maybe you do see, and we'll get on to him next, Leiataua and maybe RTS as a combination that offers a bit more on attack, but that height, like you say, to diffuse the ball, his tackling ability, I thought he was really solid again. I just feel like he needs, maybe it's acceleration he lacks a little bit.
It is acceleration. I've always said he has no outside speed. Like he can't get on. A lot of his work is subtle footwork and then using his upper body. He's got good upper body strength, but he won't burn anyone on the outside. So you live with that,
On those big hit-ups as well, he just does it. If he could hit the ball or the line at the same speed as Montoya or Dallin, imagine what he'd do to people. And that's similar to Kossi. That's what I mean. They use their size to get that little bit of momentum, and then they get the forward drive going. But he's got a good fend on him. So,
yep.
Alrighty, man. On to the young fella on debut, Ali Leiataua.
Oh, I think we saw a good package from him, eh? Like we saw the covering tackle, good legs tackle on him, really. And you can tell when someone's got a good legs tackle on them and they just chop people down. And I think he did a few good covering tackles. There was one nice attacking play where he broke the line, and then he went from left hand to right hand, and then right hand to left hand, and did a double fend. And for me, there's not even a lot of guys in the NRL that can do switches like that, to be honest. And so that tells me there's natural skill there. There's plenty of development and upside. That diffusal of that bomb was much needed. And he just said it's my ball and took it off Whiten. And then just chipping in some spots where I thought he chipped in, tackled some big players. I really like it. I really feel confident in our centre depth going forward. And you're starting to think, okay, where does Williami now sit? Where does Berry and Pompey sit? If you can see a bit more of a package from Leia. Yeah, and Vailea. Where's Vailea now? Is he way off?
He had 2 tries yesterday.
Did he?
He had 2 tries. Yeah, bro. Did you see the score in that? 34-16, bro. We beat the Raiders in the cup, bro. Basically the same score, bro. Yeah, he got a double.
But then again, I love the centre depth. It's actually very good. So you like thinking, well, can we hold 6 centres?
Yeah. Well, and then you've got Moi there as well, bro. He's another gun in the making. So my takeaway was that you can see in a guy like Rocco Berry, I don't recall his debut, but I just remember he was solid. He's a guy you can just see that it's going to be that if you gave him regular game time, he's going to be like a Brent Tate kind of centre where he's just rock solid. You see guys who come in and they're a little bit nervy in their first couple of touches, bro. There's nothing about his performance yesterday that gave an indication he was a debutant. So I think that shows one thing is his temperament. I felt like when he got his jersey presented to him, the way he handled it over Sifakula, you could see he was so humble, like he probably didn't feel he was quite meant to be there with these guys. But the way he said it, that thing, let's eat, bro. So he feels like he's meant to be there.
Yes.
And I agree on the legs tackle. I noticed that. And I think that's both him and Berry coming from union backgrounds, right, is that legs tackle, I think when you get beaten on the outside as a winger, as a centre, it's a great tackle to get them just as they get past you. Because if you go for the jersey grab, it's easy to fend them. So I thought that was good. But the thing that stood out for me is, I'd say at least 3 or 4 times last night, there was a loose ball. And he was the guy who was there just at the right time. And he got it and he tied it up cleanly. And to me, that's just a guy who's got a sense of where to be at the right time. So, I'd seen him playing Cup a few times and I saw how awesome he was. But my question was, could he step up? And going up against a 300 game guy, wily old Fox, I think he matched him in every way. So I'm really excited. But my only concern there, like we said, is the depth. I don't think we can keep them all. No. I would say we're going to lose at least one in the coming off season, potentially Pompey. I don't think Williami is the kind of guy who's going to be overly patient. I think so too. Because he's probably just happy to be home and he'll be happy to be part of a journey. But Williami and Pompey are the two I'm kind of curious because Pompey, I would have thought if they're going to sign him, they would have signed him.
Yep.
he's been off contract now. I'm kind of surprised no one else hasn't jumped in. So, and I think Viliami's patience, I get the impression he's got that so much natural talent. He's used to dominating. He got those early chances, and he's probably like I said, he was my pick for breakout player of the year, and he's probably fourth on the pecking order of the centres now. So I'm a little bit worried we might lose a couple, but we've got RTS coming in replaces one of them, and like I said, Moi, another couple of seasons, that guy is going to be the man. But if you think about if they stayed healthy in 3 years' time when RTS retires, and if you had Berry and Ali there, they're both class, they're both good under pressure. I think for the first time since Clinton Topi kind of days, we're starting to get excited about our centres, man. It's
bro, honestly, there's one play where Dallin went. Croker got on his outside, and Dallin just sagged and just trusted him. And I thought that was really, because I was scared that Dallin was going to jam because it was a new centre pairing, and Dallin, I thought was going to, he's going to rush in because he doesn't trust this boy. But nah, he let him go one-on-one with Croker, and he made that cover tackle. And I was thinking, oh well, Dallin really trusts. They've got a good feel for each other within that short space of time, and his recovery time. If he gets, a lot of guys in a legs tackle will just stay down and stay in the play of the ball. But no, he was like down and then quickly ran back at the marker or wherever he needed to go. I was just like, okay. Now Violair would never do that at this stage. Violair's not. He's got no energy to do that.
But then you've also got the versatility factor. He's been playing 5'8" in Cup recently. He plays wing, he plays centre, and he's a fullback, natural fullback. So having that guy there just gives you so much cover. So, and I think similarly, I could see Berry going into fullback as well, whereas Vela, like he seems out of place on the wing, but I don't think either of those two would. So, yeah, let's see how that plays out for the next couple of months. It's going to be, like I said, I think it was when we were talking our last one, maybe it was one of our lives, that it's really hard to accept that we're still a couple of guys short of where we really need to be. And you don't want to admit that any of your boys aren't good enough because you're so proud of everything they're doing. Yeah. So I feel for any of these guys who do get let go. But anyway, Metcalf, bro, how did you feel he stepped up in his third game?
Yeah, liked it. I continue to like the package. I think Metcalf, when SJ went off, I think he actually kind of picked up, and you can see a bit more out of the kid. I think he likes to do plays going left to right, what SJ does. I think we saw a bit more nicer movements. And some players are like that, where they favour one side than the other. So I thought, man, if there is a time where SJ does go down, I think he's going to do a decent job. He's got a nice kick, a nice weighted kick, similar to SJ. Support plays picked up since he's been around. Like it's just he's getting a good feel. And defensively, I'm happy with him. Like the guys have got to help him around him, but he's still taking the initial contact and then still hustling back and there was just one point we've forgotten. A key takeaways is that it was hard to give, most games, SJ was the main guy that did everything, or Adam was the main guy. It felt like everyone had a really solid game across the board, and so I was thinking, well, that's a good sign. If everyone's having almost 8 or 9 in their performance, that tells me that we're onto something here, because the more you rely on one person, the more it tells you that this team can be predictable or can run out of. And I felt like, man, everyone's really chipping in here, so we're onto something. But yeah, I loved what he's doing, really do.
Yeah, I think you feel like he's comfortable in those times where he's had to take the kick when SJ's been caught on the fourth or whatever. Just puts it on the spot, and that's one thing I'll give both him and Volkman is they're fighting their natural instincts to let SJ run the game, because all of their careers in Cup, they've been the guys who just dominated across the field and, been the creators. So it's really probably hard for them to harness that. But as soon as they get that chance like that, I'm thinking of, I can't remember who took it, but that little kick, he was just to the left of the goalpost, boom, just put it like a metre from the try line, easy to compete against. When it's your first kick of the game, it's great sign. So I feel like every week he's made a progression. He's starting to find that the sync there. And as Webby said, he hadn't trained with the team until like 2 weeks before he got debuted.
Shucks.
He'd had no time to run with them, and that whole sort of round a pre-season, so 10 weeks he'd been out of the picture. So it's going to take time. But I just hope he's patient, and I hope Volkman's patient, and I hope
yeah, we hope
Chanel's
everyone's
patient, and I
be
hope
patient.
Tamari's patient because
just hang around, guys, please. We promise you're going to get your chance.
But the only thing that choice is going to, in a normal circumstance, worry me is like, I think we rotated our halves so many times during the Kearney era and then the Brown era, either through lack of fit players or just trying to find that combination. And that's one thing that hindered Chanel's progression. So he got in and out too often, or he was playing with Cody one week, then the next week he was playing with SJ. So it's building those combinations and just patience for me, because at the moment, next man up, SJ, he's clearly just on another level, right? So you've got to be subservient to his will at the moment.
To the master. Yeah, I get it.
Bro, what did you notice about him last night?
Well, I noticed something, and I don't want to say he's like Andrew Johns, but Andrew Johns used to punish people in defence. He would hurt people. Joey Johns never, he was never targeted. In fact, people try to run away from him. I'm feeling like SJ is starting to hit people and punish them. He put one on, was it Croker, and just whacked them, and then White, he's whacking guys now. But it's actually very important. It's not a self-serving thing. It's actually helping the team. Him being there and chipping in defensively has been massive. Like and you can feel it that when he's really involved in the game, it picks the guys up and they all fight for each other. But I think his defensive play has been on point. And then just some of the passing and it's just beautiful to watch, and I think for him, it's coming with experience, and I'm willing to sign him on for a few more years, because I can see signs where his game adapts to what the defense is giving him. Last week it was I'm going to take the line on because I can see holes here, and this game was like, okay, I can see other options here for these guys. I want to set these guys up. I just feel like he's getting a really good grasp of the totality of the game, and that's what the greats always do, is they understand every facet of the game. And I think he's with his adding in his defense now, it's like a guy that, man, we want to keep this guy around for a little bit longer than what we thought. But yeah, just amazing.
Yeah, that I have got to agree, and like again, what I always go back to where we both speak so much sense. I think his very first conversation with SJ was like, man, if you want to lead this team, you've got to start putting your head in places where other people don't want to go. And that's why every interview will refer back to, like, it's coming from his defense. And if I think about the first memory of my greatest feeling as a no-name rugby player, it's not about the tries. It's not about there's actually one kick that I kicked from about 2 meters off my own line to the opposite, across the field and out 2 meters out from the other guy's try line. But
wow.
it's the hits, bro. It's like, I still remember this one I put on a guy playing Mana College, and I kicked it, and as soon as the fullback caught the ball, I smashed him like SJ did on Croker. And I was 14, bro, so that's like 30 long years ago. 30 years ago. I can remember that, but I don't remember tries and stuff. And I think he's got that buzz for defense.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what, when you come off, it's like, sure, they'll go about Dallin, but guys, bro, you smoked. There's nothing better than those guys armed above his head and you hit them in the ribs. And he's doing it on forwards, bro. He's the first impact there, not Niukore or not Ford. Mate, going off on tangent there. He's just, that defense. But I feel like, the only comparison that really sticks to my mind, again, getting back to rugby union, is that zone that Dan Carter was in the 2015 World Cup.
Yep.
When he was older, people said he shouldn't have been there, and he'd been through those injuries, missed 2011, and then just that whole World Cup. it was like he was literally playing everyone else in slow motion, and I feel like that's what SJ is doing now. And whoever the strength and conditioner guy has obviously found a way to strengthen his body in a way he's not getting injured. Touch wood.
Yeah, yep. Not going to yep, yep.
But other than that smack in the face last night, when was the last time you saw him hobble? So yeah, mate, I could sit there and talk about him all night. But I guess again, it's when do we? I guess don't like saying this out loud. It's when do we genuinely think we enter our premiership window? And I don't think anyone genuinely thought we were in there this year, but we're slightly, getting to that point that because no one else is really dominating, that it comes down to that game on the night that we can beat any team in this comp. So is our window already open? But I think people can't even comprehend what we're going to be like in 3 years. If we keep the nucleus of this team together. So a fit SJ for the next 3 years gives you that 3 chances to win a comp. If he can go 3 years, whereas if you think your premiership window is genuinely maybe 4 or 5 years down the road, does that hinder the ability for you to develop one of those other guys? Now, I don't know. I say you go hard and you sign him on a gentleman's agreement where he comes to you and says, I don't think my body's up for it, or we don't feel like you're where you should be, and you both know that it's time to step away. Because I don't think you want to sign him on a black and white contract and he just forces it out for 2 years when he's broken after next year. That's my only fear with a 2-year extension. But no, sure. Man love. AFB.
AFB, man, this guy is one of the most consistent players in the NRL for prop. Props can hit walls, they can have amazing runs, and then they drop off. This guy with Payne Haas just has a super level of consistency that you just can be relied on. I've never thought to question Adam's performance once this year. Just really amazing. I just love his work, his defensive work, his tackle efficiency. I'm sure was higher, no doubt about that. But they really work well. Those middle forwards and those back rowers really work well together. They all hunt in a way. They hunt in the tackle, and then they in the running game as well. But no, I think he played a wonderful game. Really happy with him. I'm sure he's got close to 200 meters, if not, and then post contact would be pretty high as well. So love it, man. I love this guy. Consistency. Yeah.
I think he was 100% last night. 31 tackles and no misses from memory.
Shucks. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he was over the 200 again. Yeah, where are we? FB, 207, 89 post contact. He just looks happy for me, bro. He just didn't look happy last season. You see his frustration, and with all the bullshit going on. That I don't know. 50-50 as to the two guys would really struggle if we lost is him and SJ. I think anyone else we've got the depth, and probably if I had to, as long as we've got Tamati Martin back playing fit and Volkman fit and Metcalf fit, I would say AFB would be the guy who we can't replace. We don't have that other, particularly with Jazz out. I think if you have Jazz in there, you kind of supplement it in a certain way, but for me, he's, how do you say our best player? He's probably the guy we'd miss the most. So, yeah, I could go on about him all night as well. I'm just happy to see him happy. I think he's just ridiculously fit. You could see he was pissed off to go off last night. When he got that 10-minute break. I hope he doesn't burn out like we saw from Payne Haas from doing too much. Payne Haas out at the wall. So, but nothing that I see in him, and the fact when he doesn't play Origin, gives me no impression that's going to happen anytime soon. So, what about the Egan?
Yeah, another good game from him. I know people will talk about the errors. Just a little bit of forcing it and mistiming it. But overall, actually, he did a really good game. If you saw what Canberra were trying to do was chuck 4 in the tackle, and that's a very Ricky Stewart type thing. I remember Ricky doing that to us in the grand final in 2002. He tries to bombard you with 4 guys or 5 guys in the tackle, and then they have the slow peel away. But that ended up hurting them, I think, because what ended up happening is when these guys would peel away, Egan could see that these guys were still retreating, and then that's where you got these fluctuations and these sets where Canberra would rush you the first 2 tackles, and then on the third tackle there'd be about 20 metres in behind the ruck. And I got to give credit to Egan for recognising it each time, and then getting either a CNK or Niukore, whoever was there, and to work back inside. And so his ruck recognition, mate, is just unbelievable. And then you add in that try that he put on for himself. That's patience, Other halves, other hookers would try and rush that one early in the game. Now you save that one for the 60th whatever minute it was, because then you've been showing them I've been going all day, passing away. I'm not going to dummy this one, and then you catch them out. That's what SJ did. I remember against the Bulldogs. Just be patient, and your time will come. And I think I'm really enjoying watching his game overall. Just think he looks healthy. For some weird reason, he looks actually better than what he was before. Like, he doesn't look nicked up. Maybe he found some special juice in the buys.
Maybe went to Fiji, bro, and got that stuff.
I think so, with the barley.
That work? One of those All Black wingers had a broken leg and came back for the World Cup after getting some magic juice in Fiji, bro. Maybe he went there, but yeah, I agree. Again, I've always wished that these players prove me wrong.
Yep.
I hope for it. Same as Pompey, Bunty, those guys. I think Pompey's largely done it, but more than anyone, I question Egan's ability to be that guy to take us deep into the finals. And guys who know footy, like Tony Kemp, some people don't like him, but he knows footy, man. The guy's a former Kiwi. He's played NRL. He questioned him. But some people never did. And I think we're finally starting to see him. He's still only 26, something like that, 25. He's way younger than you realise. Genuinely the superstar halves and hookers come into their own in their late 20s, right? You look at guys like Jonathan Thurston, Cooper Cronk struggled through their first, half of their careers, but once they get their craft and find their little zone, and I feel like he's just found that, and the fact that he's got this pack around him, whereas before he was on the back foot all the time. And I remember watching Harry Grant at the start of this, early on in the season when Nelson was injured and they had no one there, and he just had a crap game on the back foot all day. But I think Egan's he's gone to that level where, mate, there's not many hookers in the comp. I'd actually say, I'd take them over him. And I wouldn't even put Marnie in there anymore. I might take Harry Grant or Damien Cook or maybe Corthell, but even then, I'd think, whereas if you said that to me even last season, I wanted to bring on Brandon Smith even, but next level, outstanding, and that the running, linking a few times when he made the runs, I'm a happy man.
Yep.
Bunty.
Yep. I've got a theory. Well, not a theory on him. In any sporting team, there's always a guy that does a job that you may feel doesn't have anything equates. You kind of feel he's a weak link. In some weird way, I think he kind of fits the game plan of what Webby has done. Webby hasn't gone away from this guy. He hasn't listened to us. He's stuck with him for a reason. But I think the reason is that although Ali scored this game, Ali had a bit of a dip. R4 hasn't had a major dip, apart from his minutes played. But I felt last week and the week before he was the better player than Ali. So if you're thinking purely from an experience thing, you're probably going to trust, me personally, I'm going to trust R4, even though I may not be getting explosive plays like what Ali got with a try there. At least I'm getting some consistency over a longer period of time. Who knows, Ali might drop off again and do a knock-on and miss a tackle. But That's where I think Webby's coming from. But his role, he's doing this 20-minute role. He is busy in the tackle. He's not a massive, no one's targeting him specifically on defense. So I suppose he's absorbing a lot of that early pressure. But he's not giving us anything in attack because I don't think he's got any footwork. He's a guy that literally runs straight. Every other forward we have has nice little subtle footwork. I don't think Bunty doesn't have any. I haven't seen him do one little jink of any kind. So, but I think he's for some weird reason he fits the system at the moment that Webby's got. Yeah,
and again, it's we compare him to the guys who shine for other clubs, right? And it's the flashy guys who shine, and you can't have a team of all flashy guys. And I still feel like I must sit there one day and count how many tackles he's involved in. So he's only on there for 14 minutes, and he made 14 tackles, I think it was. But I still don't know how they credit you for those because he's involved in probably 4 tackles a set.
Yes,
so
he is.
That again, it just absorbs that initial energy sapping thing, and you bring on those guys like Barnett once that's dropped. So he's got a role there, and you're right, he's consistent. Like I've said, we had a bit of a chat on Twitter about it today. Getting that one extra prop, and a bit of a chat about Hetherington. I think it'd be an interesting one under Webby to see if Webby could kind of harness that aggression and get him to play in a role where he doesn't get himself sent off. But he would be a guy, imagine him. But, he's a big impact player, whereas Bunty, he's just the workhorse, and similar to Ford. You've got to have them. Got to have them.
Yes,
so, there's no hate. There's just curiosity. Niukore, how have you found him over the past couple of weeks, and particularly last night?
Awesome. Awesome again. He's sticking to, again, I talked about it last week, he's finding his niche in the team. They're getting him some good ball. He's chipping in at the right times. I think he does a lot defensively, and I'm starting to see it now where he's probably the most skilled laterally out of that back row and the props. Up there with Adam. I think Adam's probably first. But Niukore covers a lot of space within the short spaces, if you think about it. And those channels, he's the one that's, covering, hauling back to help out SJ. And you don't always see it, but he's probably one of the most physical and hard-working guys in there. And that's why I like that pack where we've got Tohu, Adam, Niukore, and Ford. They all work hard, and they have the ability to move fluidly through their checks and slides and whatever, and still be able to control the tackle, the wrestle strong. So I'm really impressed with him in that sense. And then he had some nice runs where I thought, he did well. Then that head high, it's good that he just got a fine. I don't think there was anything malicious.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, just a fine. Yeah. I'm still very impressed with him.
I guess I felt like I expected him to be a little bit flashier. Yes. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think we all
coming from that Parramatta system, but I don't even recall him being that flashy, to be honest. It's probably irrational, but I just feel like he's gone looking for different kind of runs. He really stuck to an edge, I think, a lot on attack earlier on, but in the past couple of weeks, it just feels like he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's running and he's hitting that line, and that's when you hear the Aussie commentators start to say like he was the guy making the biggest impact in the early in the second half, they started talking about him. So I'm stoked that I feel like he's got all those little fundamentals, but now he's just taken that impact up to the next level, and I like that he's right on the edge there. And I think it's hard, that borderline between hitting a shoulder and hitting a chin. No one's going to want that. That's what we want. We want that intimidation factor, and I think we're starting to get that from the boys.
Yep.
Ford. How about Ford?
Again, similar to Niukore. He's a workhorse, man. He really is, if you think about it. Even in his third man in tackles, what he's actually doing is he's holding up the legs. He's helping to slow the ruck down. I think we did a really good job where all 5 of them, they all were able, even though the forward, they had a big pack, Canberra. We found a way to still win the ruck in a weird way. Like, we were getting pushed back, but then we'd hold it up, and then, you get some of the third man in, he'd drop the leg down. So we kind of slowed it down in a way, and that's why I think Canberra did get a bit frustrated. That was part of it. He's always due for one knock-on or an error or a penalty. But I thought what last week he did well was just run the ball. He didn't try and cut back in. He just stayed on his channel, on his line. And it'll come with a time. I think he's similar to what I said about Montoya, is that try and limit your errors, stick to the game plan that Webby has, and the tries will come. He'll get a line break at some stage. He'll score a try. You just got to be patient. That. But I know he's a guy that likes. He needs the ball, but he needs to just. He almost doesn't. He needs to not have the ball sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting though. We talked in our last session about needing that, flashy ball playing second rower, but I'm wondering if, again, you're always looking to fill every position with a flashy play, and you need these guys that we don't seem to be really trying to make those early tackle or line breaks.
Yeah.
We seem to be scoring our tries from when we get in attacking positions. So we just grind it, and then when we get the opportunity, we've got a variety of attack methods when we get in the red zone, but we're not playing this helter-skelter, spin it wide, high-risk play, particularly from our own half. And I think that a lot of times in the past, teams used to get us on the fourth tackle when they'd spin it wide, and they'd get 20 or 30 metres off us. But you miss that pass, and the ball drops, and their winger picks it up, it's a try every time. It's a high-risk way to play footy, and I just don't think that's our game. And he's got his role, and it's not there to be out doing outlandish stuff. But you can see if you really watch him in the final 20 minutes, he starts to make more hit-ups, and he starts to make more ground per hit-up because he's fitter.
Up. Yes.
So, again, they focus on the small things like the couple of knock-ons. Did they cost us anything?
No.
Boys can defend those every now and then, but for what he does and makes up for, both him and Niukore, I think, are a great combo.
Yep.
Tohu.
Yeah, I thought that I'm just going to backtrack to the Broncos game where I thought we were too Tohu-centric with our block plays, and then Reynolds was jamming it. I think they've adjusted that a little bit where they're not so hungry to go to that block play shape, but where Tohu's actually giving early ball. And I think he's adapted to that little alteration to try and get guys, the outside guys, with better ball. And I think it's good to see him again still using that short ball. That he kind of, what he did was he dropped his weight back. It was a beautiful short ball because what he did was he dropped his shoulder back, and I think there was a tell for like, okay, I'm going to go out the back here, and then he let that pass go to Ali. I just thought it was beautiful. So he's got the deception like SJ. He's got those skills there. I think he's one of the best ball playing 13s in the game in terms of actual ball playing ability, like tricking people. He's done it so many times. He's confused those middle defenders, and then defensively thought he's really he's weird. He looks like he's a zombie out there on Mummy with his legs strapping. But he and Egan, they've got this weird little hop. Have you seen them? They kind of do these little slides. It's like they're really old guys playing the game, but they somehow find a way to to work. But he looks like he's banged up, and he probably is. But I can't wait till Walker comes back, and maybe we take a little bit of that volume out of his legs. But he's somehow still producing, man. I can't believe it.
I'm glad you mentioned that Broncos game because I felt the same thing. We haven't really had a chance to chat since then. I just felt too much ball was going to him as first receiver, and it became too predictable.
Yep.
And then last week we started to go directly to SJ or sometimes Metcalf, 2 or 3 wide of the ruck, straight to our halves, and it gave them so much more front foot ball and time to play with. We used Tohu a bit more yesterday, but we used him. And we had more variety when we did it, and like he ran or he'd pass it. Again, rugby comparisons, all the league boys we love. Richie McCaw, he reminds me of him. And the lad, he's just broken, but he just never stops.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the pain he's in, bro? with those knees, but it's just like you can't see it on his face. And then when he comes into those press conferences, he's so cute. Where he sort of sits here and he's like,
yeah, he loves
and
it.
Look at Webby with he's like, "Hey, Dad."
Him and Webby, man, they got a really good combo. Their press conferences are up there. I love them.
Oh, and I'm glad, like doing those 3-2-1 points, like the Warriors version of the Daily M's, the Warrior M's. Tohu's been out of the points for the past probably month, and every game, if you took him out of there, it's a different game because of what the dirty work he's doing. But a lot of people recognised him and had them in their top 3 last night. I think we replace him easier than Adam because we've got a lot of those sort of ball players. They won't be as good, and 2 or 3 or 2 guys maybe make up for him. But yeah, again, man love.
Awesome. He's
Siro,
awesome.
bro.
Yeah, Siro's man. I've been thinking about Siro, and I said on Twitter today, I was like, I wonder if we actually keep Siro. I know he's been thing to go, and CHT looks like the natural progression to replace him, but he's got some versatility. This kid, man, like he played lock a little bit last night. He played first receiver and looked sharp. Like just some of his passing ability is actually quite crisp. Then we've seen him at hooker. We've seen him at 5. I think he defended at 5'8" maybe last night for a little bit. I can't remember when SJ went off. Maybe
it's hard to see where that.
So, like all these guys are moving all over the place, but he's got some versatility that I'm thinking if he wants to hang around on a lower whatever it is, he's a guy I wouldn't mind keeping around. But then that's when you start talking about premiership windows. If you want to really push, you need upskill in those areas. So he's kind of a middle type. He's part of your development plan to work towards a premiership, but he may not be your premiership player that you need to get you over the line. So it really depends on where we're sitting.
He's a guy that If he's comfortable playing that come in and out role, which probably not, because all guys are competitive, but he's a guy that he might not play one game for the first 20 games next year, and you bring him in for a semi because 2 or 3 guys are injured, and he'll do a job.
So
that from that aspect, but it's again patience and what he's looking for, because I don't think he goes anywhere and commands a starting position. At best, he's a regular bench player because of his, and he's a victim of his versatility. But I've got to say, Daniel from Warriors Anonymous, I still remember my last trip to Japan, walking around in the streets, and he was telling us both how on their Insta Live how Siro is the man. Yeah. And I'm like, he's seeing something I'm not, but I'm trying to think of which game it was. Was it last week or was it the week before that he just all of a sudden clicked with his passing from dummy half? Yeah. And the timing of it, the width of it just went to another level. I don't know, maybe it's something he was working on, and I don't know who fixed it for him, but I think from that, it's kind of like SJ with his defense. Once his pass started to get more crisp, it just felt like he fitted into the whole picture, and he grew in confidence to the fact that I've become a fan over the past couple of weeks. He was one guy I was sort of like, not down on, but just like, I'd rather have had Lussick in there, but I'm very comfortable with him there now.
I think he's a guy, like, if you think about it, the coaches said to him, "Hey, Serena, this is what I want you to do. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. Now, I'm not going to tell you what position you're going to play, but I need you to be ready for 10 minutes and make an impact." You know what I mean? Now, can you do that? Not many other guys can do that. He's probably the only one at the moment in the squad that can say, "Yes, I'll do that for you." Well, so you're wanting 10 minutes from you.
The word impact is probably the thing that always gets me. If he said, "I want you to fill a hole," and we don't know where that hole's going to be, I know he'll fill everything, but I just feel like because we've got some Ali, Walker, Jazz, Curran, Barnett, these guys are all, you feel them, you notice the minute they're on the field, whereas Sheridan could be on there for 5 minutes before you realise. So maybe that's a compliment, right? That he just fits in seamlessly. But
I don't know. I've been out on the guy in general, but it's for some weird way he's kind of I'm coming around to him a little bit. Yeah. But maybe that's more Webster's system than actually anything else. Yeah.
It's funny because there have been guys who've played for the Warriors in the past who just grind me the wrong way. And because they're Warriors, that I support them. But as soon as they're gone, I'm like, man, I'm glad you're gone because now it's okay not to like you. But I don't feel like we've got anyone in there that I don't actually like and I'd love to have a beer with. None of them. And like he's probably one of the guys who just seems like such a genuine, good guy. But he just hasn't had the impact, would be the word I would say. But, yeah.
Yep.
Barnett, bro, second game back.
You know what I loved about it? I loved that head high that he put on. I loved it. I thought, this guy, he's got something about him, man. He's got like a champion type energy about him where he wants to destroy people. And I was happy. I was like, actually, that's awesome, mate. You deserve to go off for 10 minutes. Put these guys on notice, like let them feel you. And I think that's kind of his MO is, I'm going to let you feel me. And you're going to know I'm on the field. And you can feel it when he's you can tell he's on the field. Like we just talked about impact, Curran, and this is impact at its highest level. So I'm thinking, man, this guy, like we just talked pre going online, 176 meters and 57 minutes or whatever it was.
And like 30 odd tackles as well.
30 odd tackles, bro, and strong. And I forgot Barnett is part of that five. AFB, Tohu, Barnett, Ford, and Niukore. And when they're all operating on the field, man, it is beautiful to watch. It really is.
I mean, that last week. Got to go back to that, bro. The lack of self-preservation off the back of that injury to. Bro. He was a machine to the extent that his defense was just beast mode last week. I put up a montage of about 7 big hits from the game, and him and SJ were in like 6 of them, other than that one with AFB, bro. But like Jazz said, he felt lonely out there at times over the past couple of years. Yeah, because he had to be the guy to just take those guys and just like not back down, and it's kind of odd. And I said this, and I don't hope it didn't come across in the same way. I'm sure that if there's one guy you don't want to throw hands with in the club, it's Adam Fanua-Blake.
No, I don't want to miss with
him. Jazz said that if anyone, I asked him who would you say would, after the wrestling training with Kaikara France and that, who would be the guy to become and he said Adam. I said it's just weird. He'd scare me, but he doesn't seem like he's like as crazy as Barnett and Jazz. Yeah. Like I'm sure he intimidates people in a different way, but maybe I don't know what it is. But both him and Jazz, you just know they've got a little bit of that crazy in them, and I'm sure AFB is, but it's just like his face is so neutral, and things he does aren't quite at the same pace. It's kind of like when you get slapped versus that impactful punch. I don't know. But I feel like Barnett he's got that impact is that key word, that our bench is one of the most impactful benches in the comp for me. And reinforced now by having them there. And I liked that they didn't, I thought they might bring him in to start to kind of counter Canberra, but I liked that it was an absorb mindset, I think.
Yep. Yeah, it
was. Because we knew that they don't have the fitness, so
I think Webby did a good thing, bro, is where he put him on early. I thought, we need something
14
here.
minutes.
And I think Webby felt it, and he's like, no, we need to get Bunty off, and we need to get some stiffness in that. And then I was a perfect time because I saw him on the field. I was like, that's just what we need. And I think there was, again, Webby's calling it, mate, the interchanges he's doing. I really like it, and I think he just came on because we were getting overpowered. Papali'i tapping there, just destroying us, and then I think when Barnett came on, just sort of
legs, bro. Tree trunks, bro. How do you stop that?
I love him, mate. I love Papali'i.
So I mean, I don't know. You can keep going on about him, but I think Campion's another guy. They weren't huge guy. Well, he's not a huge guy. Neither is Barnett, but they know how to use their bodies. Same as Jazz. Curran.
I was getting so caught up in the tries, I forgot he was on, but. I can't really remember him, to be honest. I'm sure he was great, but I was just I was over the moon by everything else that was happening. I forgot what he was doing. So I can't give you an honest review of Curran, to be honest.
He got 26 minutes, actually. I wouldn't have seen that. I think the only thing I noticed, and I went back and watched the game twice, is that because I didn't notice Leiataua go off the first time, but then I knew he'd gone off. And I didn't see him go off the second time, but I noticed that Curran went into the right centre role. So that's really the only thing. And he's another one that patience for me. I think in his mind he believes he's a starter.
Yeah.
There's benefits to having him as a starter, but I just think having his versatility and energy off the bench. But his impact's through speed, whereas a guy like Barnett is just through bang. So you've got different times you bring them on. So I think he probably wants more game time that he's getting. He probably wants to start, but I think we've talked about it, just before with Niukore and Ford. It's that workhorse, and then you use the energy later. So I don't remember a lot about what he did either.
Yeah.
Which is, a sign that I think there was so much going on and where everything was clicking so well that if you try and think of anything other than the finishing moves in the last 20 minutes, it was so in sync, no one stood out.
Yeah, it was.
So that may be why.
I think people, honestly, we're going back to... Sorry, bro, I just interrupt you. If we go back to what we talked about, premiership window, I know guys are sacrificing minutes and starting positions, but if we're dead set serious about going to the finals, we need everyone to buy in. And if it means, Curran, you're going to do 15 minutes in a prelim and you score a try to help us get into a final, that's what we need you for, So I think especially right now, we've got all these guys that you feel like, how can we get these guys minutes? It's almost like just wait in the wings, be patient, because you're going to see finals footy this year and you're going to have to step up when we need you to. So I think it's like there is an actual premiership there's a finals window here. Not saying premiership, but I'm saying there's a finals window here, and we just need everyone to buy in, and I think everyone has. So, but then again, next year's a different thing when we figure out contracts, and he might, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's again getting back to this whole patience thing that it will take maybe a couple of seasons, I think, for Webby to get those guys who are torn between wanting minutes and wanting the greater good. And that's why you look at a guy like Chance or whatever, they just talk about he's so selfless, that we won't see what's going on behind closed doors or, but they'll be aware of the guys. And I'm not saying Curran's one of them, but there will be guys there who are frustrated, and it will make them want to go out. But whenever we recruit anyone from now on, they're only going to recruit guys who get that.
Yeah.
They're only going to promote guys from the lower grades who get that. So patience, talks about it being a 30, 40-man squad these days with attrition. We've only used 27, I think it was 28 players, but still every one of them has been able to come up and do a job. But patience and, where would a guy like Curran go if he left anyway? And be a starter, only at a club that's probably not going to have a chance at a premiership. So you got to sort of realise what the choices entail. Regular footy and a losing team, but part in a winning team. So who knows, bro? Finally got Ali, bro. How'd you feel about him?
Yeah, love him. Loved this game. He tidied up. It was funny because there was the kickoff. I remember after he scored the try, or someone scored the try, and he got the ball, and it just brought flashbacks to, what was that, the Broncos game where he knocked it on off the kickoff. And I was thinking, he's kind of corrected some of his errors, and I think it was good to see him score a try. Scoring a try does a lot for us, I think, for forwards especially. It just helps pick them up mentally, to know that they have the ability. I don't know how Alex 12 from the Tigers is feeling to go out every week and they haven't scored a try in 100 and something games. But for Ali, I think it was important. yeah. So for our guys getting over the line is good.
Give him confidence, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then again,
do you feel like he's kind of you mentioned.
No,
you mentioned before that you felt like he'd gone on a little bit of a plateau, and do you feel like he started to, in the past couple of weeks, get that sort of rise or having the impact after that plateau, or do you still feel like watching him last night he's on that plateau?
I think he's still there and thereabouts. I think he did a lot better. He's just in a phase where in this system he's literally a guy that you want to take hit ups, you want to be a lead runner, and you want consistent tackles, no errors, and those are the things. So he's had a few errors. We talked about there was a period where he didn't miss a tackle, and then I remember he let one go for the Bulldogs. He let a try in. He had a few knock-ons and were pivotal in certain games. And so I think he may be on the up again, but for young players it can fluctuate. It can very easily fluctuate.
Yeah.
But I think in this system there's a good support network for him that he just needs to remember, you just do your job and you'll be fine. Let the other guys, let the creative guys do their thing, and just as long as you're in the right spots at the right times, you're more than doing your job.
Yeah, because I felt like he had those 2 or 3 games here, like against the Broncos, around that sort of time where he had got flat.
Yep.
And got to remember, what is he, like 21 or something?
He's young, yeah.
First full year of first grade, it's going to take it out of you. But last week it started to show signs, but this week I felt he just hit the line harder. He made more post-contact meters. And if you compare him to Bunty, he's just got that little bit of agility. He's a little bit lower to the ground, so he's, he would be a nightmare to tackle. And I just feel like 2 or 3 years down the road, he's going to be a bench prop anyone would want. He's probably never going to be that, James Fisher-Harris, Adam Fanua-Blake kind of the first guy up there, but he'll be that guy when he brings off a bench. You're not going to want him to come off. Not going to want him to come on if you're opposition. So, yeah, I'm a big fan. It's been really interesting. They could have had opportunities to try some of those guys like Zion Maio. He's been in the reserves a few times there.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see if he gets a run, how he would go. Joe Wagner's son as well. We've got a couple of pretty good young props, but it's just showing that him and Bunty have been consistent enough that Webby backs him. So it shows that he's seen something that maybe a lot of the fans aren't. Just to kind of wrap it up, I'm curious, it's a tough ask, but for the Warrior votes for this week, who would, if you had to put your life on it, who are you giving your 3-2-1 points to this week?
Sheesh, man. Like I said, there was felt like a level playing field, and that's a good sign, but it's quite hard to do that for the Warriors. But, man, I got to give, tough. I want to give 3 points to Shivers. Yeah, I'm really. I got C and K here.
Twice while I've been listening to you.
Yeah. I got C and K here. It could have been anyone else. I was just really impressed.
What made you give it to him?
Oh, I think he's got something where I think all these guys deserve a 3, but for me, he's continuing to be that rock at the back that we've needed. That try that he got for us, it picked us up. It picked us up a lot. It confirmed that, okay, we're going to go on a run here. So he was in key plays, in key positions. He was there and performed. I think he performed. He performed up to the task, and just guided us around. I really struggled, but I just gave it to him. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. He got Fox man of the match over there, by the way. I just feel like he does the work of 2 bed. 2 hit-ups. 2 hit-ups a set. It's just crazy. 2 points. Who are you giving it to?
SJ. I'm going SJ. Kicking 6 from whatever numbers he did. Pompey did a few, but he did a beautiful kick from the sideline to start off that first try. I thought was beautiful, the way it curled around. And just again picking his moments. And for me, it was defensive stuff. I just saw him just pile on and just really hit. And I really do believe seeing him in a good spot is a big lift from the team. He carries a lot of emotional weight. If he's off, he has a big cry about it, and we've seen it over the years now where he just have a whinge and you see he's not in the game, and but when he's on, he can lift the team to victory. So I gave him the 2 points here.
Yeah, okay. I mean, and you know that the foundation was laid by a lot of other guys, but his impact, yeah, I can't argue with that one. And finally, the 1 point.
Shivers. I want to give it to Adam, but he's so consistent. He's just, oh, come on. It's a tough one. I've got. Yeah, I'll give it to Adam. I'll give it because it is. You see it every week, but it's without it, we're dead. Really, we needed someone to kind of contain and even help. Tapine and Papali, man, they were just tearing us up. But Adam was a good counter to that. Whenever he got his hit-ups, he got his meters too. So it forced them to have to work harder as well. So if you get Papali and Tapine on a roll, and we don't have a counter to that coming out of our end, then we probably don't get the type of even match that we needed to get at the start. So I think he's still playing a massive role. And I think a lot of his stats aren't individual if you really look at them. Yes, the running meters is very much an individual stat, but a lot of, like, again, his missed tackles, effort areas, and his just general confidence is high right now. Like you said, he's happy to be on the field, and if he's happy, like these guys, if they're happy, SJ, these guys that hold emotional weight, I think Adam's one of those guys, then the team seems to do pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I struggled, man. Adam or Tohu for me, right? Because both of those guys, Tohu, like, he only got 130 odd running meters, but he made like 45 tackles and missed one, I think. And both those two built the foundation of the win. But it's interesting because no one looked like they're going to run SJ down in the Warriors, but Adam's like won, I think, 3 out of the last 4. And Tohu started out strong until he got injured. So I'm going to give it to Tohu, I think. So that way we're both looking after both of them. But yeah, like you said, everyone has commented on. I put that out on all the different platforms. Everyone said, "Man, give it to everyone." People were struggling to come up with them. But the only thing I would say is that, again, one of the things that makes me really proud this season is that our senior players are stepping up every week. I thought the only time they've let me down a little bit was in the trial against Storm, on the back of that awesome young fella's effort against the Tigers. It was a little bit less impactful than I thought, but as soon as we hit round 1, our senior players have stepped up every week. They're the ones who are winning the Warriors every week. So patience is required from the younger guys, because it's going to be hard to dislodge them. So just to summarise, we're heading into a bye this week, and by all accounts, we get Tamati Martin back, we get Dylan Walker back, we have Ed Cossey coming back. Woody Army is back in the reserves there, and then Jazz is probably still another a month away. Tough decisions coming up for Webby. Tough decisions. Particularly, I think the wing is going to be the hardest one. Cossey was the best winger before he got injured.
Mate, it's a tough one. But we've got to be honest here. This is the 10-week window here that we can make top 4 if we're being genuine about what we want to do.
Right.
Like, we can't afford to have a dip. I'm just going through we've got a bye, and then we've got the Dragons. We can't afford to have the same dip off the bye that we had against the Broncos. We just can't.
No.
If we dipped again like that, I wouldn't trust us in the top 8 in terms of, because we're just not mentally there. But then you go through,
and it's good we've got the Dragons, bro.
Yeah, and it's good we've got the Dragons, and we need to come. We'll have a little bit of a dip. After the bye is good, people recover, but there is a drop in intensity a little bit.
Yeah.
But then you got to think about the next games over after that. We're playing against the teams that we've played before. Yeah, Rabbitohs. That'll be a good one in terms of seeing, okay, can we, because they're an attacking side, with threat everywhere, can we truly defend a team that has attack in every position? That will be a great game to find out where we stack up. And then, what is it, Eels? That'll be a tough one. Eels are still pretty good. They're 13th at the moment, but they'll probably pick up a little bit. What do you reckon?
They've got like plus 40.
Yeah, they've got plus 40.
And like 10 of the teams above them are on minus. I think Brown's a big out for them, bro, dumbass. But I think you go through these certain, like, for me, this was a litmus test to go to that emotional really emotional game in front of a hostile crowd and a horrible place to play at. You deliver there, that's boom, 1 check. Like you said, come off the even if we win dirty against the Dragons, this time we win off the bye. But we beat the Rabbitohs no matter how we do it.
Yeah.
Granted, it's at home and that gives us an advantage, but we beat them. They're probably like them or the Broncos for me are the 2 most dangerous attacking teams in the comp.
Yes.
We control those defences in the way we controlled the Storm, we controlled Penrith, we controlled the Roosters.
Yep.
The only ones who really blew us off. Well, actually, Melbourne ended up putting a few points on us in the end in the Knights, but that's the test for me. If we beat the Rabbitohs, and I was meant to be there for that game, bro. I can't have to fly back.
I'm going to that one.
Night.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're not coming.
Actually, I can watch it. I'm flying Saturday, and it's a Friday night. Yeah. Oh, so envious, man.
Yeah.
I'm going up for the Sharks. I've never been to Mount Smart, so
Cool.
bro, awesome having a chat with you, man. It's covered a lot. Then, like I said, it's interesting. You have just those little things. The point that stuck to me is about noticing that Tohu's the way his shoulder dropped and stuff like that. There's not many other creators out there who are noticing those little idiosyncrasies, and it's something. I mean, after you tell me, I can't not see it. So I've learned a lot from you in those little aspects this year. But kind of again, learning my craft. I'm not. I come from a rugby background, but I've been a Warriors fan my whole life. But I've never looked at the game at the level I have recently. But I've learned so much from watching you and some of the other guys that the things that you look at. It helps me understand the game a lot more. So it's nice to get you on every now and then. And it was awesome. Like I got so much feedback. So I'd encourage people this time. We're gonna I'll put WahsUp link tree in the bottom of the YouTube thing there.
Cool.
Which if you click on that, you'll see them on all of the various platforms. Go and give them some love. Just don't forget me. But it's a pleasure, bro. Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on, and I really appreciate it. It's good chats, man. I really gets all my thoughts out and in a clear kind of directed way. Whereas some days I'm just sitting in my bed thinking, okay, so if this guy goes here, what happens? So it's nice to get it out of my mind. Because my wife, she just thinks I'm insane because I'm sitting there, and I know it's good that fans appreciate us when we do our own content, but I'm sure it's much more engaging hearing the conversation go, and you're by far one of the most conversationally friendly guys I've come across. So well done, my man. All right, all good. We'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the bye. Probably won't, but we'll go and watch a few highlights. Have a rest up. Let's come out against those Dragons and put another 35, 40 points on them and then beat those bloody Rabbitohs. Then things will start to get serious. Thanks for watching.